Anin, Sego. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our seasonal cooking series. Today we're going to be making minestrone soup. The ingredients we'll be using today are 2 carrots, 2 small zucchinis, half a large onion, 6 celery stalks, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 can of diced tomatoes, 1 carton of vegetable broth, 1 can of both white and red kidney beans, a tablespoon of Italian seasoning and a tablespoon of dry basil, half a cup of uncooked noodles, a tablespoon of olive oil, and 2 cups of water. In addition to our ingredients, we're also going to need a few other things from around the kitchen. We'll need a knife, a cutting board, a large pot, a colander or something to strain with, a can opener, and a wooden spoon or whatever you prefer to do your stirring with. We also want to make sure that we wash all of our produce before we get started. So go ahead, grab what you need, give everything a good wash, and then join me back here and we'll get started. All right, I've got my zucchini, my carrots, and my 6 celery stalks. I've already gone ahead and peeled my carrots as well. And that is what I'm going to get started with. I've got this bowl here just to keep everything in. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the ends of my carrots. And then I'm just going to dice them into smaller pieces. In today's recipe, we're using carrots, zucchini, and celery. One of the reasons why I really enjoy this particular recipe is because you could really throw any veggies in that you like. So if you're getting to the end of the week and you notice some of the vegetables in your fridge are starting to go a little, then you can use them, chop those up, and make this soup. Then you've got no waste. So again, we're just chopping up both of our carrots and dicing them into smaller pieces. Now I'm just going to toss them over into this bowl. And next, I'll start with my zucchini. Again, cutting off both ends. And dicing them into smaller pieces. The size that you choose to use for your veggies really depends on how you and your family like to eat them. If you're trying to sneak some extra veggies in, you might want to cut them up smaller. Again, I'm just going to add these to the bowl as well. Now on to my celery. We are going to use all 6 stalks, and I've already washed and rinsed everything. So again, we're just dicing into smaller pieces. Be careful of those fingers. So I've got mine to be about that size. Go ahead and toss that last little bit of celery into the bowl and give it a good mix. Look at that color. Now we'll move on to our garlic. We're going to be using 2 cloves of garlic. Make sure you peel off that outer skin. And then go ahead and mince up your garlic. I'm just going to add the garlic right into the pot. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to use 2 cloves. Next, let's go with our onion. Now the recipe does call for half of a large onion. I'm not sure if this onion itself really constitutes a large onion, but I'll start with about half. Go ahead and chop that up as well. These are definitely going to be smaller pieces than our veggies were. And I'm going to add the onion to the pot with the garlic. I am going to add an extra little chunk of onion just to make sure we get that flavor. And there we go. So there is something I also wanted to mention. Now with these veggies that are left, kind of like those end pieces and whatnot, I'm just going to chop off these stems. And then I'm going to talk about how to use these pieces rather than throw them out. So last year around this time, a colleague of mine spoke about taking all of our vegetable scraps, putting them into these large freezer bags for storage, and essentially putting everything in the freezer. Now at the end of the week, she went ahead and used all of these vegetable scraps to make a homemade delicious vegetable broth. So I'm showing you here, and I will add the link into the comments for the video which shows how to make your own veggie broth at home. I just wanted to share this idea again because I do think that it's definitely beneficial, particularly with those cold winter months heading our way. So now that I've got them in the bag, I'm just going to pop the bag into the freezer and keep adding to it for the rest of the week. So in our pot, we've got our onion and our garlic. We're also going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. There is no better smell than onions and garlic with olive oil as they begin to saute in the bottom of a pot or even a pan. Give everything a good stir. Make sure your onions and your garlic are nicely coated with that oil. And go ahead and add in your chopped up veggies. We basically want to saute these veggies together for about 10 minutes or until the vegetables start to soften. While we're waiting for the veggies to start to soften, you can go ahead and open up your cans. We need to drain and rinse both cans of our beans and also get that can of diced tomatoes open. Now is the perfect time to go ahead and do that. But remember to keep an eye on your veggies to make sure that nothing burns or sticks to the bottom of your pot. So these have been sauteing now for probably about the last, 8 to 10 minutes. And they're pretty soft, which is exactly what we want. We're going to add in our 1 can of diced tomatoes. And then we're also going to add in that dry basil and the Italian seasoning. Again, it's 1 tablespoon of each. Now give it a good stir and get all of that mixed nicely together. Yep, the vegetable broth. So we're going to actually use this entire carton of veggie broth. Give it a good shake, twist off the top, and start to pour it in. And again, give everything a nice good stir. And our drained and rinsed beans. You can go ahead and add those in. I love how colorful this particular soup is. And our pasta. The recipe does call for half a cup. I'm adding a full cup because it's honestly how I get my kids to eat this particular soup. As long as they see the pasta, they're willing to eat it. Now, depending on the thickness of your soup, you can go ahead and add up to 2 more cups of water. This is pretty thick, so I am going to start to add some water, and I'm actually going to use all of the water. Turn your heat up a little bit because what we want to do is bring this now to a boil. And now that we've got it boiling, we're going to turn that heat right back down and now let it simmer for the next 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is up, you then have your pot of minestrone soup. Make sure you serve your soup while it's still warm. We hope you enjoyed today's recipe, and until next time, Ona!